Hey, we are live. You're watching Friday Morning with Andy and Sam. The last time I checked, I am Andy. I'm not Sam. I'm Andy. That guy over there is Sam Slade. And guess what? We have a guest, and that guest is Jonathan Burrello. And since this is a live show, hey, with light too.
Hey, let there be light.
Let there be light. Jonathan Burrello, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
So far so good, but the day is still young.
It is. So anything can happen. By the way, I apologize if you hear noises.
I hear noises all the time.
Okay, good. It's not just me.
It isn't just you. No.
It's just my demons laughing in the other room.
Very good. Very good. Well, at least they're in the other room and not in your head or in your pocket. I mean, those that could be pretty sad and bad at the same time.
It can be. All right.
Dude, that's hilarious. So where are you? The last time we talked on the Naked Diner podcast, you were living in Montreal. But I know that you're this. Oh, wait a minute. Since we're doing a show, I should actually tell people who you are. And
it could happen.
So I'm just going to read your bio from
your
fantastic site, The Big Insane Happy. Jonathan Burrello writes, I am a wandering comic artist and the creator of Soggy, Secret Keys, Blinky and Sal, Barb, and hopefully much more to come. I have many jobs over the years. I've been a pizza slicer, a bookseller, a TV extra, a mail house packer, a movie critic, a substitute teacher, a special needs aide, a forensic coach, an adjunct speech professor, an ESL teacher, a radio host, an online tutor, a comedian, an improv performer, a ghostwriter, a playwright, a storyboard artist, and an illustrator, but nothing has given me quite as much pleasure as filling a blank piece of paper with some dopey-eyed critters. A while back in 2009, I started doing Secret Keys comics.
Oh, gosh.
With what? You want me to go all the way deep?
We don't have to go that far. I feel like we've...
All right, we've done everything. And so dude, last time we talked, you were in Montreal. I know that you're doing this whole nomad thing. Where are you now? Are you still in Canada?
I'm still in Canada, mainly because during this particular crisis, I don't know that I want to go back to the States right now. It seems a little...
John, you're fine. You are so good up there. Just wait this out. There is no rush for you, buddy. I'm down here in Austin, Texas, and just stay where you are. Just stay, Jonathan.
Don't worry.
Jonathan, you won the lottery. That's what you did.
I guess I did.
You got the golden ticket. And yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to a wedding next week or a couple weeks from now, and I'm like, that's not happening.
Is it here in the States?
Yeah, it's in the States. I'm like, I'm not crossing the border. Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. No.
I got good people down there, some good friends.
Oh, I'm not judging the people. I'm just judging
I don't want to go to Kentucky either.
Thinking COVID is a hoax, and they're still coughing each other's mouth and having COVID parties.
Ugh.
So, Jonathan, we're going to run over some material like we did back at the Naked Diner Day. Oh, wait a minute. Nice. Amy Basile, my girlfriend who's in the chat, wants to know, are you officially a resident of Canada?
Great question.
Not official. Not yet.
Well, thank you, Amy, for blowing the guy's cover. Now he's going to get a knock on the door any minute now.
I'm going to get the Canadian version of ice.
Oh no, there is no Canadian version of ice.
They just have ice.
It's just ice. Yes, exactly. No, Justin Trudeau would nicely knock on the door and say, "Can I hold your hand and escort you back to the border, sir?"
No, but whoever runs Quebec might.
Oh,
yeah, okay. Well, I don't know anything about that. I'm just a simple redneck.
So, Jonathan, you were a Pentecostal. You were in the faith.
Oh yes.
For quite a while.
Deep in it for a very long time, until probably like my mid-20s.
Wow.
Way too deep.
So when you say Pentecostal, paint a picture for our viewers what that meant.
So if you don't know, Pentecostal is sort of like what we'd call a charismatic evangelicalism. It's where you speak in tongues, and it's where you go up to the altar and the priest does this to your head. You're caught by two other parishioners. They lay you back and you basically lie on the floor. Some people tweak out. There's a lot of shouting and screaming. A pastor will be sweating, heaving, doing like a very intense speech for his sermon, and then random people in the congregation might just stand up and just start shouting things in nonsense gibberish, or they might start saying Bible verses to interrupt. It's very crazy and weird. Yeah, it's basically what it is.
So you grew up in a Trump rally, basically.
Basically, and they didn't know this yet because this is way before him being their new god. But
sure,
God 2.0.
Yeah, that does disturb me quite a bit.
Which part, Jonathan? This is interesting to get into. I've spent a lot of my time in politics when I'm not making dick and poop jokes. What part bothers you? I mean, I'm interested just because you've been hiding out from all this in Canada. Meanwhile, me and Andy are literally like checking in with each other twice a day to make sure like we don't have to just get in the car and go drive cross country to save the other one.
Well, I guess like as far as the whole cult of personality around, okay, maybe it's because I never fully got sports affiliations so much that it's hard for me to understand like this like slavish capitulation to like a political stripe. Like I don't understand. I think anyone who likes any politician is gross. I think enjoying a politician is disgusting.
Hang on, Andy. If I just take down my signed Obama photo before Jonathan gets too far into this.
Yeah. Oh, get that out of here. Get that out of here.
I'm still going to go ahead and put this down. I don't want to freak anybody out. Go ahead, Jonathan. I apologize.
No, I don't think anyone should be looking up to politicians. I like a couple for like policy reasons, and I think like some of them aren't the worst people, but I think by and large don't look to that. And then when they're, especially when it's Trump, it's even more so. I'm like, this is so obviously like a con artist and a snake oil salesman and a public, fragile moron for the past 4 decades or more.
A fragile moron. I like that. That could be the name of your next comedy album.
There you go. Or Trump's memoir.
This is true.
I'd buy it. I'd buy it if it was that title.
So is there what's it like up there right now? Are comedy clubs open? Are restaurants open? Bars open? What's the sitch?
So I know in Toronto they've started to open up a few comedy clubs and stuff, and they're trying to go back to normal. I don't know if that's too soon, because I think it's too soon. Montreal's been a little different. They're still kind of skittish about opening stuff. I've done only a couple shows in the past 4 or 5 months. And the ones that I've done, like minimum people in, so they only let a couple of people in there. So you have audiences of less than 50, and they're all spread out. And they do like what is it? Like where they give you like the mark of the beast or whatever, checking your temperature, like with the forehead thing.
Sure.
How come we didn't have that before? And then the comics, instead of going to a tight, small green room, we're in sort of a big corridor that are separated. But you have one?
There was the Comedy Studio back in the day up on the 3rd floor of the Chinese food restaurant.
98.6, boys. It's clockwork.
There was a very small, very narrow corridor that basically you waited in until your name was called, and then you'd go out. Yeah.
Oh, man. And we all get our own mics and mic condoms.
Oh, mic condoms.
To go up.
Fantastic.
So like it's shotgun style. There's no host anymore. Like, so you go up, you do your thing, and then if there's someone after you, you introduce them, and then you unplug the mic, put the thing over, and go off stage. They disinfect the mic, and they put your mic condom in a little baggie with your name on it.
Wow, it sounds like you're at some kind of NASCAR event, and you're driving your mic, and then there's a whole team basically just cleaning up after you and getting the next guy on as fast as possible.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's like I don't. Comedy's not back. I'm like, comedy's not back for.
No, it's not. None of that sounds any kind of fun to be performing or to be watching. The three of us have all done our fair share of stand up. Boy, that sounds fucking miserable, to be honest. I'd rather us. It's the same thing we're doing with sports right now down here in this country, Jonathan, where we are so spoiled and we are so fucking entitled that we have to have our sports. Now, look, Andy knows I'm a sports guy, right? But I'm not a sports guy at the cost of setting back the health of the country for another fucking 5 years, 10 years. But we have to have it now, and we need to have it now. So therefore, we will put the health of these athletes at risk. And now everybody looks like a fucking asshole. So
I'm happy with being an asshole, to tell you the truth. I
Oh,
feel
Andy,
very.
no, you know what I mean, Andy.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean. We've
like-
talked about this. You've answered the crying phone calls late at night. I'm just so worried about LeBron. I'm just so worried about the Lakers.
So, have there been any open air comedy shows, like in parking lots or in people's yards?
Yeah, it seems like the answer, right?
They've been doing some of those. They tried like some people are trying to do Zoom comedy. I'm like, no, that's stupid.
That's
Don't do
painful.
that.
It really is painful to watch.
I said my policy this whole time has been I'm not asking for any spots, but if I'm asked to do a spot, I will do it unless it's Zoom.
Yeah.
I'll do a show in front of people. And the thing is, the shows I have done have been really good. I feel like because audiences, like, even though they're small, they're starved for entertainment. I think they're crazy for being out and going to the events. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Why are you here?
Do they like your bubonic plague material, though?
Oh, gosh, it's been killing.
Very good. So, dude, what are you doing for comics these days?
For cartoons?
Yeah,
for
for
comics?
cartoons,
Yeah, I have been spreading myself way too thin and agreeing to everything that's been popping up. And I really don't need to, because I work online as a tutor. Ever since pandemic, I've been working so much more because everyone around the world has been stuck at home, and they're like, this is a good time to learn some English, I guess. So like I've been so busy this past couple months that I feel very grateful. But it has given me a little bit more time not doing as much stand-up to work on the comic strips, Blinky and Sal, a lot more Barb than I've been working on.
Yeah, dude, I've been watching your posts on Patheos and on Instagram, and funny stuff. Been
Thanks.
quite enjoyable.
Thank you very much.
So for people who aren't acquainted with Barb, how would you logline it? How would you give the one-sentence synopsis?
It's a little barbarian girl in a barbarian world, and if you like Xena Warrior Princess and or Paper Moon, you'll like it.
Now, how long have you been doing it for?
Just a little over a year, so not that long, and I still feel like I'm settling into what it is. And I don't know, what I really want to do is I want to see if I could one day pitch it as like a series, like an animated series, because I feel like limited by my own like abilities. I'm like, I can't do the stuff I really want with it.
Well, we were talking with a guest a couple of weeks ago, Ken Reed, and a local comedian and a big podcaster. And he was saying that there's going to be a lot more animated series out since all the live action is almost impossible to do unless you're filming in New Zealand for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
So maybe this could be,
was filmed.
Right. Yes. So maybe this could be your spot. This could be your time to get something animated. Because a lot of those streaming services are just hungry for content.
Yeah, this is true. I just don't know how to go about pitching something like this, because I feel like the story is pretty much already there. It has a template, and I feel like throwing on a few more writers, like easily expanding into something much bigger.
Right. It's funny because we've had a bunch of people come through this show, and of course with the Naked Diner too, and we've had people have relationships with Netflix after the show. I'll give you a name. Maybe he can help you. Ian Harris. He's worked comedian, skeptic comedian, atheist comedian, good guy. But he's done some stuff with Netflix, and maybe he can help you out. Casey Randy in the chat. Casey Randy.
Casey Randy I got to get him on Weirdos at Home. I know it's separate. That's totally non sequitur. Casey Randy, I just want you to hear that. I need to get you on Weirdos. Jonathan, goes for you too. But I had a question for Jonathan, Andy, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Hey, how'd you get into, like growing up, I always wanted to get into cartoons, and then it got into getting discouraged in art class and, realizing, I'm a little too loud, a little too rambunctious, turned into stand-up, turned into comedy or whatever. But I still draw, I still doodle. I got into painting like I'm fucking George W. or something during pandemic. I've shown Andy some of my shit. I sent him to him like I'm trying to earn the refrigerator spot, By the way, I'll have to. Maybe I'll go walk over in a second. But I did a Hulk Hogan piece that actually my girlfriend honored with the fridge spot. I'll go get it for a second in just a minute. But Jonathan, I was going to ask you, what was it when we were, how old are you, Jonathan? I'm 34, going on 49. Andy's just had a birthday. He's going on 35. That's why we get along. How old are you, man?
I'm 33.
Okay. So what were you? So then we were about the
yeah.
same generation. What was it when we were little that got you into cartoons, man?
I think probably like Looney Tunes and The Far Side. Like more than anything else, like I watched a lot of Looney Tunes and a lot of like the Warner Brothers cartoons, and something about those weird stretchy nonsense physics that they use is very appealing.
Hell yeah.
It's so silly.
Hell yeah. We were my girlfriend Tara and I, we were hanging out last night, and we got into a very in-depth, probably more in-depth than it needed to be, but that's pandemic times for you. Top 5 Hanna-Barbera characters of all time. And we went deep. We went a deep dive on Hanna-Barbera.
Who are your tops? Jabberjaw.
Dude,
is Space Ghost? Is Space Ghost?
Is Space Ghost? I think I had in no specific order. I had obviously Fred Flintstones, George Jetson, White Privilege. I apologize. Top Cat.
Oh, Top Cat's on my. I'm making the list right now.
You're grown up Top Cat, Andy. What are you talking about? Look. As the tail, I got Benny over here.
No Johnny Quest.
Yes, dude. I told Jonathan last night. So funny. I was telling Tara. I was saying, if you came to me tomorrow from Netflix, going, if you could make any animated IP or whatever Hanna-Barbera into like a live action, I without flinching, Johnny Quest.
Oh yeah. I
want a live action Johnny Quest.
Scooby-Doo.
I want that.
Scooby-Doo, is that?
Scooby-Doo was on my top 5. I think it's Scooby-Doo and Yogi Bear narrowed out my top 5.
Well, I would go with Shaggy. I would go with Shaggy from Scooby-Doo because he's the stoner.
Like Scoob.
Yeah, and I think Yogi Bear is very similar to Top Cat. He's always scheming.
Yeah.
Always looking for an angle.
The difference is Yogi Bear was just trying to steal pies, and Top Cat was like shysting retirees out of their pensions, Andy.
Well, he was more like the Robin Hood. Give Top Cat his due. He was like the Robin Hood of the alley.
He's more like Donnie Brasco, Andy. What the fuck? Wait, he wasn't even Donnie Brasco. He was Pacino and Donnie Brasco.
Accurate.
So Looney Tunes. When I think of Looney Tunes, obviously Bugs, which a few weeks ago, Andy and I were having. Andy, we had some kind of conversation on the show about Bugs Bunny. We were saying somebody modern time, was it Ace Ventura, saying that they're blatantly doing Bugs Bunny. We had this conversation on the show. We were talking about people who have kind of more or less stolen from Bugs Bunny, or I dreamt that, and then we ended up fucking in the same conversation. So, Andy, I need you to set
cool.
in here.
I'm just hoping that you are having intercourse with the animated rabbit and not me in this kind of weird miasma dreamscape that you're making.
I think Bugs Bunny and what he did for the trans community is very underrated. Underappreciated.
I was watching Animaniacs the other day, and you know what I forgot about was Boo the chicken.
Yes.
Oh man,
Boo the chicken is like this.
So good.
Oh my god.
Chicken Boo, what's the matter with you? You don't.
It's just one joke, and it's like the chicken goes undercover. No one knows that he's a chicken.
But he's a chicken.
He's a chicken, I tell you, a giant chicken.
Yeah,
so good.
It's so funny, Jonathan, that we ended up talking cartoons. I do another podcast called Weirdos at Home, and last week we did a Lost 80s cartoon episode where all we did was broke down Lost 80s cartoon. It was not Andy. It was a couple days after you were on, but I mean cartoons that like Zorro, Tarzan, and who was the third one? Zorro, Tarzan. Lone Ranger team up animated series from like the early 80s.
What? Oh, I gotta look this up. What is this called?
Zorro, Tonto, and the Lone Ranger.
This is just something that you're pitching as an idea.
No, Andy, this was a fucking cartoon.
This is a real thing.
This was a real cartoon.
Tarzan, Lone Ranger, Zorro Adventure Hour.
There you go.
Oh my god!
That Google, Andrew.
I'm watching this after this podcast.
Completely off my radar. Didn't know what that was about whatsoever. Give me the name one more time.
It's the Tarzan Lone Ranger Adventure Hour. But no, wait. Or the Adventures of Zorro. Or the New Adventures of Zorro. Or the Tarzan Lone Ranger Zorro Adventure. This is probably their problem. They couldn't figure out their branding.
Right.
I'll say this. the one thing I learned from our deep dive on 80s cartoons we did a couple weeks ago, at some point during the 80s, and by the way, there's two others I got to tell you guys about because it'll blow your fucking minds, but Scooby and Shaggy worked their fucking balls off in the 80s. They had so many. I mean, at one point they ditched Fred and they ditched Velma, and it's just Daphne and Shaggy and Scooby and like two Chinese kids.
You know, it sounds like some kind of fetish porn, to tell you the truth.
No, it was. I'm just saying, Andy, they would get the phone call from Hanna-Barbera, and they'd be like, "Hey guys, we got a time slot. You guys free? We need you to, come on."
One of my favorite cartoons from back in the day was Thundar the Barbarian.
Oh, I need to watch.
Terry was talking about that last night, along with what's the one that's kind of fake? He meant not Centurions. I'll think of it. I'm not gonna wait.
Sounds like you're rambling around Battlestar Galactica, but
No. Anyways, the two I was going to tell you about before we, whatever. Happy Days cartoon that opens with the guys outside of the diner, and a spaceship comes down, old school 50s flying saucer, and hot leather jacket wearing aliens get off of it. And they come up like, our spaceship is broken. We don't know what to do. And what does the Fonz do, Andy? One elbow.
One elbow. Right, of course.
Door comes down. Potsy, Ralphie, everybody. Richie Cunningham, Fonz. Mr. C even goes. They get on the spaceship, and who knows where they go. That was pretty damn mind-blowing. Happy Days in Space. And then Gilligan's Planet, where the professor gets to another dimension, but he can't get them back to the continental United States.
It sounds like it's kind of like Land of the Lost, kind of. Is that like a Land of the Lost kind of vibe? Yeah,
a little bit.
Oh my God, there are so many. Well, this is a deep dive that I need to explore.
Well, you have a lot of time. Well, maybe you don't, because you said you've been working. You've been doing
I don't have any time to do this, but I will find the time.
Have you been doing a lot of tutoring? You say you've been doing a lot of tutoring.
Yeah, I have to cap my days at 6 hours now because it's been too much.
Now, is it tough? Is it tough teaching online? Because down here in Texas, we're going into a year, and I don't think Andy and I've caught up on this, but we meant to bring it up. Schools are reopening in certain parts of the country. I think up in Andy's neck of the woods, they're prepared for it. Down here, we're not. Is it tough to teach online? Because I know, as a kid, it's hard enough to pay attention in the fucking room, much less on a video screen, right?
Most of my students are adults, so I don't have to wrangle them. But I do have a couple students that are younger and they're kids. Like I had one Chinese boy who I'm pretty sure thinks that I'm a YouTube video. Like I don't think he understands I'm a person. Like the way he interacts with me and like
it's all pre-recorded.
I had to make like some ground rules because he kept going to the bathroom. And I'm like, dude, no, we're not doing this. We're not.
Well, it's because you were offended because he was taking the laptop to the bathroom with him.
I'm just saying, hey, don't shit at me.
I agree.
Like during class, like hold it, or excuse yourself and leave the laptop in your room. But I don't want to go with you. Absolutely. It's not okay.
These are important English language skills to master.
Yes.
Excuse me. Gotta go poo.
Yep. The thing is, like, working online was very hard because I've been working for myself and just working from home for since 2015. And the first couple of years were absolute hell because you have to do all your own discipline and you have to figure out your own schedule, which is not something that comes naturally, I think, to most people.
True.
And not
No, not at all. So it was very hard. But now that I've been doing it for a few years and I feel like I've got a groove going on, it's not so bad. And one-on-one is not the same as like teaching a whole class.
Right.
Which I've also done, but not online. I've only done like a classroom, which is hard in a different way.
Are most of your students from China?
No, actually, they're from all over the place, man. Like, name a country, I probably got someone there.
To be honest, he was just trying to be nice and piggyback off the Scooby-Doo joke about the Chinese kids running around with Shaggy and Scooby and Daphne.
That's right. That's all I was doing. So is that like weird hours for you then? Does that mean you have to wake up in the middle of the night and oh, okay, that's good. Because
I set my own hours.
They have to wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. For me, I set my hours. I start my day at 8 o'clock and it's done by 4:30 and then I'm cartooning.
Wow. You're burn. Yeah, you're there.
So it's a lot of work, but it's keeping me from, keeping the squirrels from gnawing their way out of the brain,
Boy, y'all are doing better at that than we are down here. I'll tell you what. As it turns out, the further south you get, the crazier those squirrels get.
Oh, I know. I've been down there.
When I'm supposed to be living in the Andy. So you have to know when I started doing the Naked Diner, I don't know, 5 years or so now ago, in the before times. Andy and Jack would get me on the phone and be like, "You live in Austin. What's it like being in the cool, liberal, smartest place in the world, man? Yeah, we want to come down and visit." And then COVID came around, and everybody in Austin was like, "You can't tell me what to do, man. Well, I'm having fucking summertime, man." So everybody died, right? That was a bummer. That sucked.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's funny about people dying. Is that it makes time seem like it goes at a different rate, because I was looking at one of our old Naked Diner episodes, Jonathan, that you were on, and I'm like, oh, that must be from like 5 years ago or something. It's like, no, much earlier, much sooner than that. It wasn't like 10 years ago, but it just makes me feel like, wow, anything before 6 months ago is in the before time, and decades ago.
Yeah. No, this has been a really weird adjustment for a lot of people, but I don't know about you guys, but maybe you can answer this for me, because I miss comedy. I miss doing shows, but it doesn't feel right going back right now. Do you not find yourself feeling much mentally healthier, not having to go out every single night and like be on both on stage and off?
You go ahead, and I'll.
All right, I'll say that I haven't done stand up for quite a while because of because I do these overnights, and it's been these overnight shifts. I work with people who have disabilities, and so the last time I did a gig was quite a while ago. But I will tell you this: I have talked to a lot of other comedians, people who've come through this through the show, and just on Facebook and Twitter. And most I feel like people are in detox, right? People have already detoxed from the lifestyle, because the lifestyle can be toxic and addictive for a lot of different reasons, whether it's the alcohol, the drugs, the women, or the men, depending on where you go or who you are. And sometimes just getting someone out of the scene, it just makes them more emotionally and mentally stable.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. How about you, Sam?
I have no comment.
Well, Sam, you actually are with you're with your girlfriend, so you guys were just started dating, right? Before the
we got together last. Well, my old boss Julian Castro was still in the primary when we got together, so that would have been like last September, October-ish. And then as soon as we got to like that flirty place of like talking about moving in together, and like somewhere out there, it was like Sarah Connor on the run. And we were like, fuck it, we can't leave your apartment. You live north of the river. We can't go back to my place. And I told you, Andy, as soon as I found out, my neighborhood in East Austin, Southeast Austin, early on, highest COVID rated neighborhood in Austin, greater Austin area. We just kind of made the executive decision. We're just going to do it up here now and just hang out up here. And just turned out, hey, COVID years, if you've been together, Andy, I figured this math out last night. If you've been 10 months during a pandemic, that's like 50 years in normal time.
Well, you should be just having your golden anniversary then at this point.
We're getting ready to. I didn't want to blow your invitations in the mail.
So how have you found it, Jonathan? Have you found yourself more emotionally and mentally, for lack of a better word, stable?
I have found that to be the case, and I've actually been writing a lot more jokes since I've not been going out. Like, it's weird. Like, I was getting so sick of my stuff and I'm like, I don't like anything. And then like now that this is happening, I'm like, oh, you're gonna write some new stuff, and then I'm excited. And then like when the few shows I've gotten to do, I've gotten to try mostly new material, and I always like having one new thing I want to say when I go on stage, because it gives you kind of like a bit of an energy, and it makes you like, I can't wait to try that one. Don't know what's going to happen. But doing like mostly new stuff is kind of fun, especially to like a COVID audience who doesn't know, like they're just happy to be outside. It's great.
Just happy to be there. Mm. So when you try something new, do you throw it in the middle?
No, what I've been doing I don't typically do this, but because the rules are not the same anymore. This is a different beast that we're living in right now. So I just did like the first like 2/3 all new stuff, and then finish with something I know works.
Right. So so you end strong.
Yeah. So I'm like trying a lot of stuff that I guess I wanted to try before and I just didn't do. And then kind of, I don't know. I feel like it takes a long time to find your voice in stand up. And
Definitely
I feel like I'm still figuring out my voice in stand up. So just happy to.
If there was a Venn diagram, because you know how much I love the Venn diagrams. If you're talking about your cartoonist voice.
Andy, that's the thing that looks like boobs?
That's right. They
Okay.
are the boobs of
Okay.
graphs.
Okay.
That's what they are. And if it's an alien, then there could be many boobs, I guess.
Okay. But
in terms of your cartoonist voice and your stand-up voice, how do those two circles overlap, if at all?
Fascinating question.
Not that much, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm a lot more wholesome. Well, because what I do in my comics is I kind of expect like anyone can read them. Right. So I don't really go too hard with them, and I try to keep them somewhat like gentle, like all right, or we'll get slightly dark, but nothing's like getting me like banned from anything.
Something no blank would be proud of.
Yes, nice, and I don't know. So I feel like it's that, and also because it's characters, I'm not doing my voice necessarily. I mean, it is my voice, but it's because they're all comedy strips about specific characters, and it's not like Cyanide and Happiness or there's a whole bunch of like web comics. I think it's the most accessible art form at the moment right now, because like there are so many varieties, and like you can have so many different levels of art and writing.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like because it's characters, it's not as specifically me as often. Sure. So when I'm on stage, I feel like this is more like me, and I'll get weird, and I want to talk about just weird things I'm thinking about and things I can't dissect in comics.
Right. You get to get on stage, be JB. You don't have to worry about, whatever, but through your characters, you wanted to, you can kind of sneak in messages or whatever. I don't know why I'm speaking.
Oh, and I do.
I'm so sorry. I've known you for 34 minutes. I apologize.
Oh no, assume away. I do try to put in little like political jabs here and there, and even in Barb, which didn't start out like that, but I'm like, hey, we got. Actually, I'm really excited because like the villains are Skelemen, and I've been trying for the longest time to figure out what their motivation is, and I'm like, oh, they're occupiers. And then a friend of mine over coffee was like, oh, so what type of Skelemen are they? Are they liches or are they whites? And I'm like, I don't know these fantasy terms because I'm not that deep into like the nerd culture. Like I'm a cursory nerd. I watched Conan and Xena. That was my. You
didn't play Dungeons and Dragons when you were a kid?
No, but I beat off to Frank Frazetta illustrations for like.
Oh.
So I got that's where I'm coming at it from. Hey, but she was like, so whites are non-magic skeleton people. I'm like, oh, so white supremacy is their goal. WIGHT supremacy. Like more into it. So that's going to happen now.
And that's the best thing about having a liberal arts education is that you get to figure out how to do puns for your monsters. Yes. That's about it.
I was sitting here, Andy, thinking, God, Canada sounds so amazing. You meet a friend for coffee and you talk about what the cartoon should do.
Right? Oh my God, it's so good here. You guys gotta get up here.
Coffee, and then if you do, you're gonna die in like 3 days once you go home.
So Jonathan, I have to ask you, what's the mask situation up there like?
You do have to wear a mask if you're in a building. Like if you go grocery shopping, if you go anywhere, like, and they've been slowly reducing, or rather slowly increasing the number of people you're allowed to hang out with over the course of several months. But it was pretty strict and tight in the beginning. For the first 3 months, it's like you don't see anybody. You could be ticketed if you're like walking down the street with multiple people.
Oh, I like that.
So we just didn't do it. And then over time, they've sort of loosened up the restrictions, and now you can go. Like I said, we went out to a coffee shop. We sat around the table. We had our masks, but when we were drinking, they were off, and we just had a nice conversation. So yeah, like they're slowly. Nature is healing. It's coming back to normal. A little bit.
Is there anything like an anti-masker movement up there?
Yes.
Oh, there is.
So there was actually a protest in Montreal a couple days ago among, here's the thing, and this is something that I've learned from listening to other Canadians, is that there is a weird fascination with America, because anything that happens in America will echo into Canada in some way. So the worst traits of America are also under the surface in Canada too. Like culturally, we're pretty similar. There are some key differences, obviously, but
it's like having an alcoholic father. It's going to trickle down.
Yes. And so I mean, Alberta is basically like the most redneck province you can get. Like they're just oil and guns. Like that's what they're about. And God, you know? So there is a parallel you could find. Yeah. They have been protesting the masks most recently in Montreal, and because they see America. They see, oh, Americans are doing it. I'm like, never model American behavior, guys. I don't know how you
these days. No, don't do that.
You should just redirect them to like Iceland or Norway or one of those countries if you want to model behavior.
Yeah. And to me, it's extra interesting because there is a very large, I would say, sizable number of people in Canada who have this very strong cultural pride about how they are specifically not the United States. It's like, we are Canadian. And it's like, there's pride in not being this nonsense dumpster fire just to the south. I totally get it now.
I don't mean to cut you off. I have to say we're flattered by you calling us that, because you could say a lot.
It's a position that I get now that when I was a kid, I probably wouldn't have understood it all. Like, what do you mean? It's the greatest country on earth. I'm 10 years old. I know everything. But there are a lot of people who do kind of look up to America in our worst attributes, because there's nationalism everywhere. In every country I've been where I've seen nationalism, it's the same. The same looking people.
Looking. Sure. Yeah. I don't want to get too weird about this, but it seems to be like a personality trait or a constellation of personality characteristics that just seems to predispose certain people to being fascists.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. But Andy, it's interesting that Jonathan said this, because you have always, as long as I've known you, you've always had this theory about Texas where it's like, no. Like, take it from me. I'm from Boston. Like, Texans are, nobody else reps their state like Texans rep their state. And we don't even know we're doing it. As I wear a University of Texas hat that I didn't attend, didn't have the grades to go to, I'll go to the mat for these guys for what? For nothing. That's that tribal thing. But Andy, you always make the point of it's that Texans are proud to be Texan. It sounds like there's a little bit of that going on with Canadian. The difference is that my girlfriend says Justin Trudeau's name during sex and not Greg Abbott.
That's the thing. Most Canadians don't even like Trudeau.
I think there's more I think there are more Americans, because you're not the first Canadian I've heard say this.
Jonathan, would you explain that to me? Because down here, I'm jonesing for some Justin Trudeau in my life right now. We've got a governor in a wheelchair who, when he was in the Supreme Court, a Republican, ruled that the Americans with Disabilities Act was unconstitutional, and he's in a wheelchair. Jeez. To which I said, let's go bash up the fucking ramp and watch him crawl to his office. I digress. Please go on.
I think he's kind of just viewed among, it's easy to see why conservatives in Canada wouldn't like him, but liberals in Canada don't like him because he's kind of like a feckless sort of name only, and he'll do the hashtags and he'll do the optics, but his policies don't necessarily reflect the views of most left-leaning people. So they're like, oh, he's a weak man, and the conservatives are right to pick on him, but also what they want is much worse.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's there are no mainstream politicians in Canada or the United States that represent actual progressive values, as far as I'm aware. Or if there are, there's so few. Like Bernie Sanders, sure. The squad, if you want.
Yep.
But that's a minority.
The problem is that they aren't sexy to cover. I would put Beto O'Rourke up there. I mean, he got run out of the Democratic primaries for saying, yeah, I'm going to take your guns away. Fuck it. Yeah, I am. Yeah. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. But I think down here right now, the big elephant in the room is something that, Jonathan, to be honest, the only reason we brought you on here is the only child in between mom and dad's divorce over Kamala Harris.
Oh my God.
So
what do you want my take on Biden Harris?
We'll take your take, sir. Yeah, please.
Oh God, just shoot me in the head. Like,
well, that might be a little much. And don't say that. We have Texas viewers. They might do it.
They might. I'm like, yeah, Biden's awful. Harris has a really bad history, but I think it's the only one that makes sense for his pick. So I'm like, yeah, that it's obvious. Like, she's the only one that I think gives him a bit of an edge and a bit of a
more than
something.
The person who helps him out at all out of what we had going, right?
Yeah, like I was trying to think. The thing is, like, conservatives will, suck anyone's dick if they, love Jesus enough publicly. But like liberals, no one's good enough because we're always looking into their past.
I don't know if you noticed. I sent you a friend request. You did not accept it. I understand. I was a stranger. I understand. But I saw your post where you said, and I literally quoted this to Andy this morning when we got on here to do our little show prep meeting. Your post was so fucking poignant that I was like, are we about to sit down with Gore Vidal? Where you said anything is good enough for the modern day conservative voter. And I'm paraphrasing, cut me some slack, but nothing is good enough for the current liberal voter. No, and I think I turned to my girlfriend and threw my phone down. I was like, I don't even think I'm ready to talk to this guy tomorrow. Like, I might just take on air. I don't know yet.
I'm like, that means cool. I accepted your friend. I accepted your friend request.
Oh, very good. We're bringing people together on this show. That's what we're doing.
No, but hey, Jonathan, my point is you nailed it. I mean, you nailed it. Stuck the landing.
I like I listen to a lot of Noam Chomsky, and I agree with him when he says, like, look, the important thing is you get Trump out because we can't have another 4 years of this. I hear a lot of people who are like, no, we have to let Trump win again so that the DNC will learn their lesson. I'm like, that's not how this works, guys. DNC does not learn no matter what. Like, they could lose, they could win. Not. They don't care. Like, they're just as rich as Republicans, and they always will be. Like, politicians are trash. Fuck them. But like, if the whole point is like you have Biden Harris versus Trump Pence, like, yeah, it's awful. But yeah, obviously Biden Harris. We can dissect them after they're in office and then demand more. But like, until then, I'm not really going to go too hard on either of them. Like, I just want to nigger over.
The further this goes on, the better Joe and Kamala will be looking here as we get closer, because in the last few days, just since Kamala's been, announced, Donald Trump's been making statements that sound like he is in legit, full-on, like, late-stage dementia. Like, I mean, like, it's just that you cannot piece together, Andy. And I know that seems like the same old shit we say down here all the time. But the boy who cried wolf means it this time. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that 4 more years of Trump, who knows what kind of country we're gonna get.
We can't afford to get
4 years.
Can't afford to risk it.
Yeah.
It would just be nice if we had, and I don't even care. Let him be a Republican. Let him be a Democrat. I don't care. The fact that so many politicians are just, their whole thing that they're trying to do is like, how do we cut taxes for the rich? How do we keep corporations from having any sort of regulation? And how do we shaft anyone who's working class or especially poor?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I understand why they don't flip that model, because it's not economical to them.
But I think it's probably more so for most candidates in this country. I would say it does seem like that is the Republican talk. I don't know if it's fair to say.
It's way more Republican. It's way more Republican, obviously.
Absolutely. And we need to make that distinction. I think that's important. But at the same time, Democrats have definitely not stuck to their guns. And Andy and I have talked about this over the years. They have not stuck to their guns, standing up for the middle class and putting money back in the middle class.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why is that, the Republicans have a vanguard. They have a certain group that is their tip of the spear. It's the Tea Party. However, now there's the Trumpers and the left. And the left doesn't have anything like that because we don't have a lot of money. The only reason why these groups like the Tea Party, QAnon, let's face it, they're just being funded.
Koch brothers, Sheldon Adelson, usual suspects.
And so the real conundrum for those of us on the left is, how do we do community organizing, right? Like, and how do we get our message out consistently in the face of that kind of opposition? And it's a riddle. It's a conundrum wrapped in a riddle.
Well, and Andy, have it, especially in a year like this year where you can't go knock on doors. You can't go block. You can't go down to whatever. I mean, I cut my teeth, Cincinnati, Ohio, '08, knocking doors in a neighborhood I'd never been to, trying to get Barack Obama elected. What, looking back, I didn't agree with everything the guy did, but knocking doors is the way to get it done. And in a world where our arms are tied, now, is it hilarious that they make a point to say Trump's campaign has put like 1,000 door knockers, canvassers on the street right now? Yes, that's hilarious. Those folks will probably die soon. But aside from that, I mean, they always say, Andy, and you're much more a political scientist than I am. I just know how to fake it. Is the fact that a one-on-one conversation goes a lot further than a campaign ad, a commercial.
Yeah, when I was going door to door for Bernie Sanders,
here we go.
I just tried to, because I look like a Republican.
No, didn't want to say anything.
No,
right.
I don't see that at all. I don't see.
I could be like
Kennedy. We've done this already.
And so, to tell you the truth, the best way to change people's opinions is to turn people within that group and to try to disseminate your message through that person. And so I feel
face, Andy, is what I'm saying. Like human conversation as opposed to flyers.
This is exactly it. The way that I am online in terms of my blog is very different from when I am just sitting down with people one-on-one, or when I'm at their doorstep and I'm just talking with them.
Yeah.
I
think that's making a human connection. I mean, this is like a whole like a sales technique. That is but it works. Like we're social creatures. We like to have that sort of connection. Otherwise, it's just abstract ideas that you're saying yes and no to, which is you can't have an emotion really that means anything behind it.
And Jonathan, our product is not dying.
Yes. Wouldn't you love to not die?
Yes, I am. I would like to not die. I would like my children not to die.
There's the key. There's the key, Andy.
Let me tell you a little bit about Pentecostalism, guys.
Yes.
You die, but you come back and more powerful than ever. You're like Gandalf the White.
I'm fucking into this shit.
Right? See, now it's attractive.
And that's what makes religion so toxic in the political sphere, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah. Because this life doesn't count.
This doesn't count. This is just
Jonathan. Andy used to tease me that I could pull off a Jim Jones when my hair is fixed and like I'm on my game, not wearing a backwards hat. But now that I've heard that Pentecostal, I can cut more powerful. Oh, yeah. I'm listening.
Well, I mean, I always look at it this way, like the whole idea of an eternal afterlife, the way it was described in traditional religion, has always been kind of, I don't know, dumbfounding to me, because it's like, do you want to get like ass fucked by the devil forever, or do you want to suck God's dick forever? Like both of them sound not great unless you're into that sort of thing. But I guess I don't identify with the sexuality that they're looking for. So I'm like, I don't know.
I don't identify that way for the afterlife. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's like, guys, sexuality exists in a spectrum. I don't want to do any of this. This is not my thing.
Right. I'd like pearly gates, not pearl necklace. Oh, hey, whoa, hey, whoa.
And the thing is,
look, most options are bad objectively, but you have to do them forever, so it's good. Like, I don't know. It's terrible deal.
Well, apparently we're not praying hard enough down here in Texas, guys.
Well, that's apparent.
Well, especially in Austin.
Do you have relatives down here? Do you have family?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's down there.
Are they similar to your views?
No, not even close.
Politically? No. So
no, I'm the only one. I'm the black sheep.
You're the black sheep in terms of being right or correct, let's say.
I don't want to be so like the I think we just disagree on almost everything. So it's something that's very hard to talk about anything that's going on in the world, because we just have very different views. And I'm okay with like talking with someone who disagrees with me, but like if it just turns into like a heated like argument at the drop of a hat, I'm like, this is not good for me. I don't want to do this.
I have a conservative buddy. He's my eye the body friend. I've known him since I was probably 15, 16 years old. He's conservative. We go out drinking, we get into arguments, sometimes heated arguments. But the good thing is that one of us blacks out and doesn't remember a whole lot about it. And then at the end of the day, we just go back out again, maybe a month or two later, and then just do it over again.
Nice. See, that's beautiful.
You can make a lifetime original movie out of that shit. That's what you could do.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Indeed. So, dude, what are you working on now? I mean, in terms of art, do you have a book coming out? Do you have a volume coming out? Do you have a tome, a sacred scroll? I don't know. What do you have?
Oh, I wish I had a sacred scroll. So I would like to put together a few more Blinky and Sal collections, and I do want to put together a Barb collection. But the thing I really want to work on that I keep putting off is I have several graphic novels that I want to write.
Oh, really?
But like the grind of like working full time and then also trying to crank out 2 full color web comics every single week, in addition to other art gigs that I'm picking, it's like I can't do it. I don't have the time. Wow. So I'm waiting until pandemic is over.
Right.
My plan. If pandemic ever gets over and we're allowed to travel again, I want to go somewhere where I don't know anybody and shack up by myself in like a cabin and just work on one thing until it's done. I don't know if I can do it.
I've thought about going on these writers' retreats, right? That they basically just throw you into a cabin for like maybe 16 hours a day. And I think that would probably be the best environment for me to get something like that done, like a novel done.
My roommates are too cool. Like as soon as I get out of my room, like we're laughing and joking and having a great time because like we're all comedians. So we're just like, it's so hard to talk to normal people after like living in this world for so long.
So you know what I hear talking is code for smoking dope, for smoking pot, you know.
It's literal talking, but it's
just okay.
You know.
Right.
And watching a lot of really ridiculous movies.
Like, I'm listening. Go on.
Oh my God, I got lists I could give you, man.
Well, let's go. Don't tease us. We only got 6 minutes.
Damn. Have you seen Boxer's Omen? Have you seen The Black Ninja? Have you seen
No. Say
any Neil Breen movies?
Quit trying to emasculate me on my own show, mister. What I was going to say, Jonathan, hang on. Andy, I want to point something out. You were talking about the writers' retreat thing, and the weirdest thing about this is it seems like we're all stuck on like this weird quasi-permanent, somewhat vacation, endless summer kind of situation, right? But due to the stress of the situation and the ongoing barrage of news and everything coming in, 90 miles an hour flying at your head. That's a sports reference, guys. Bear with me. It's one of those deals where it never feels relaxing. It doesn't feel like, we're at home, guys. We can just chill out. We're at home. We don't have to be anywhere. No, it feels like you're looking out the window. Like I'm looking out at this pool. Andy's heard the nightmares about this damn pool going on. Good God, people.
That is like your white male, man.
It really is. It's not relaxing at all.
Calm down for a couple weeks, and then we can go back to talking about how Donald Trump and Ivanka both maxed out to Kamala when she ran for AG.
You know, this is interesting. Gary Priestley from the chat says, I'd like to imagine a bunch of comedians sitting around being quite the opposite of their professional personas. Is that what you find, Jonathan?
Not at all.
Oh, please.
I think we're more of our own personas when we're by ourselves, especially when we're all together, because like we all know what makes each other laugh. And so what we do is you have all these running gags that you do, and like you do them until like 2 weeks are up, and then you're like, all right, we need a new gag that we do every single day, and then we kind of find all the permutations of it and do it again. It's constant nonsense and silliness.
I've had girlfriends, I've had romantic partners complain that I'm always
this is news to me.
That I'm always on. And it's like, no, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Who I am.
My always onness drove one woman to blow 80-year-old men.
Wow.
So Gary
Priestley, much more intense.
He goes, it's much more intense, dude. Yeah. Because on stage or on YouTube or on my blog, we are constrained.
Yes.
Well, we are constrained. And we are intense people, and it just gets crazy. It just gets because a lot of the times, like I'll just have something like a joke pop into my head. I was hanging out with my girlfriend yesterday. And I said probably the most horrible thing I've said for at least a couple of years.
Don't say it on this show, dude.
I'm not saying it, dude. I'm not saying it.
Don't say it on this show.
And she's like,
coward.
That was
Jonathan show.
And I said, and I had, in fact, it was so bad I had to say it a couple of times. Wow, that was the worst thing I've said for quite a while. I don't know. I wonder what the last thing I dropped.
I had one of those the other day, and I'll tell y'all what mine was if it can just stay between us. Now that we're wrapping up to the end of the show, is that okay?
Are you going to make this more controversial than it needs to be, Sam?
No, not at all. I'm just going to tell you what the bit I was doing in the car the other day with Tara. We got news. We were reading the news. I was like, so Jonathan, my girlfriend and I do another podcast called Weirdos at Home. Andy's been on it. It's a great time right here. The same setup. But we leave the Obama up because you're not around. So the thing was, Andy, it was that deal I told you about. You can tell me if I should not tell this story, but where we found out Mulan was going to VOD. And then we're talking about the Mulan.
You're starting.
I should not do that one.
I don't know. I don't think I recall.
Let's not do that one. Where was
let's not do that one because
if you have to ask, you know, it's see, and this is the difference between talking with comedians at home and being on stage is that you're tailoring your speech to an audience that might not be able to take it, but comedians can take anything.
And not only on stage, but on the internet. To right now, more or less reason to believe that they're, Russian, the web tech office. What were they? Who was it who fucking blew the election first? So those Russian
Cambridge Analytica, Analytica, and a lot of those bots in like Eastern Europe.
Thank you. Oh, you think they're not watching? Please, it's the first place they go on Friday morning.
Of course they do. Gary Priestley is saying political satirists are my favorite, as you can keep up on current politics and be entertained enough not to want to throw your head up against a wall.
Well, let's not get carried away on the second part.
Yeah. So the high and low bit much more intense when we get together. Yeah, definitely. So we're coming down to the
second one we've been doing. We've been doing one lately around here, Tara and I, Andy, where it's someone gets real awkward and someone ends up in a real awkward position. Something's going on, and they're like, it's like an argument will happen, and then you're over here. It's the hey, don't look at me, I just work here. But we'll be watching the news, and we, Mike Pence is standing there next to Trump, and Mike Pence is looking around like, what are you looking at me? I just work here, dude.
Yeah, Mike Pence, he looks like a sad man sometimes. I saw a picture of him next to Trump the other day, and it's like he just looks sad and tired.
Well, there was that leak that came out of the White House a few weeks ago where they said in a closed-door meeting, somebody leaked that Trump openly said, with Pence not there, I would throw that son of a bitch into a wood chipper.
Oh, my God. I feel like Mike Pence is whatever the Christian pussy whipped equivalent of what are the guy who self-flagellates in Da Vinci Code.
I know that. Dude. Right.
I think that's what he is.
He's a cross between that guy and the mayo sandwich that Andy ate before the show 4 weeks ago.
I like mayo sandwiches, to tell you the truth. They are my favorite.
It's Opus Gay.
Opus Day.
No, I don't know.
It's so funny. Jonathan can make these jokes, Andy, because he's safe in the sacred ground of Canada. He's not down here where we just chop your fucking head and dick off for making a joke that we don't like. So he's like, I'm on base. You can't get me. Opus Gay. Can't get me. I'm in Canada. Can't get me. I'm safe.
All right. I think this is a good place to end.
Right.
We're at the end of our hour, to tell you the truth. And so, Jonathan, at Big Insane Happy, is that your Twitter or your Instagram?
All of it. All of it. It's Big Insane Happy is the Twitter. It's the Instagram. It's the website. It's the Facebook group. It's
friend
all
finder.
Of it. What I like, Jonathan. It's almost as if you had a plan in terms of marketing, just naming everything the same. It's pretty. I should have done.
It was so I didn't have to memorize as much stuff. It was just laziness. So I can't memorize all this nonsense. But I thought, this is good for branding.
I think it works, sir.
All right, guys. Hey, everyone in the chat, thanks for watching.
Thanks for playing along, guys.
Hope we entertained you. Jonathan.
Hey, Andy, by the way, there was
pleasure to meet you,
episode,
Sam.
Hey, Jonathan, I hope to have you on Weirdos at Home soon, man. It'd be a lot of fun. We'll go deep into cartoons with you and I and Tara.
Oh God, I can't wait.
And we'll get Andy in there. I just wanted to go ahead and plug. So I still have a place to live. If there was a really good episode.
We are still live, and I'm going to hit the button, lads. We're going to have a live night for another second or two.